clicked on this video, then you're probably wondering what it is I did that drastically changed my life in 6 months. And perhaps there's a part of you that is looking to change your life or parts of it. Either way, before I get to the good stuff, there's something really important I need you to know. I don't want you to watch any part of this video and think to yourself, she looks composed, confident, she's so far removed from the life I'm living or the way I'm feeling, how could she possibly understand me? Because I've been there and I understand that reaction. I used to watch videos and think, God, they're educated, they're informed, they're in control. They have nothing in common with me whatsoever. And maybe that's an unfair assumption, maybe it's not true, but the disconnect for me was really there. And so what I want you to know is this. Yes, I might be happy today, in control of my life, know who I am and what direction it's going in. But on the other side of the 6 months before all of this, I was a very completely different person. I barely recognise myself today myself. And I think, despite what you might be thinking right now, you and I have a lot more in common than what you might see on face value. So let me introduce you to who I was before all of this. I had lived for years, decades, in a constant state of overthinking, negative thinking, fear, catastrophizing, hypervigilance, and just misery, really. There wasn't any area of my life that I felt genuinely excited about, genuinely in control of, and I was sleepwalking through the majority of my life. That was my baseline. I got so used to stress and anxiety that for me, the measure of a good day was making it through, getting to the end and having a little bit of energy for dinner, a bath, and then doing it all again the next day. I went through life in a state of hypervigilance. To give you some context, in my late teens, I was thrown out by my parents, so I found myself homeless without, completely blindsided. I didn't see it coming. And I didn't know it then, but what that did was it propelled me into a person that then was constantly looking for problems before they were right at my door. I didn't want the rug to be pulled out from under my feet in the same way. And so I was constantly scanning for people's reactions, things going on outside of me that might give me a sign that something was going to go wrong. I was trying to get ahead of the problem. And don't get me wrong, some of the things that I was looking for appeared. Did I necessarily have the preparation and tools to deal with them? No, probably not. But I also found myself living problems in my head that never even happened. That's how anxious and hypervigilant I was. I found myself settling for things in life because I didn't like the way I was living, the choices I was making. And so that kind of reverberates through how you conduct yourself in the world. It certainly did for me. I was in relationships that weren't giving me what I needed, people pleasing, trying to be what everybody else wanted me to be in order for them to want me, or for me to fit in, or for me to feel safe. And I went through life, like I think a lot of us do, looking for things like love, safety, security in people or things outside of me, instead of trying to create those things for myself. So the problem is when we look for things like love, safety, security, and stability in people or in situations, whilst we might get them, we can't keep hold of them. They're fragile and they're fleeting because it requires something outside of us. So you might find security and stability in work, like I did, in a decent paid job. Albeit it doesn't make you happy, it gives you something that you're looking for. You might look for love with, coming from a place of desperation with the wrong people. And they might give you love for a short time, but again, it's fragile. Jobs end, relationships move on, people, you're expecting external things to stay consistent, to keep giving you what they give you, and nothing is consistent. No people, no person, no job, no thing, no situation. And so we're constantly doing this in life. I got to a point at 50 years old where I recognised that my circumstances might have been changing. So different relationships with different people, different jobs. I don't know, achieved certain things in life, but it was different versions of the same life. It was repeating cycles. And I remember getting to 50 and thinking, God, I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that, I'm still experiencing this. And it was at that point that something inside me broke, and I just thought, I cannot do this for another 10, 20, 30 years. I couldn't even do it for another year. I was so drained, exhausted, miserable. I had such low standards for myself and my life that I knew something had to change. At that point, I'd love to sit here and tell you that somebody came and rescued me. They didn't. I didn't change through becoming a more positive person or completely reinventing myself. None of that happened. And it rarely does. And I think people that tell you that that's what happens, I would say the jury's out for me on that. I changed because I applied 4 simple steps to every area of my life that I was unhappy with. Now, at the time, I didn't realise I was applying these 4 steps. It was only on the other side of change and transformation that I looked back and I couldn't ignore those 4 steps. Now, I refer to those 4 steps now as leave, listen, lock in, and lead. And those steps together, when you apply them to an area of your life that you're either unfulfilled in, you're repeating cycles in, you feel stuck, or just don't make you feel good, when you can apply those 4 steps, what happens on the end, for me, was remarkable. And the people that are using these steps already, one of the greatest privileges I have now is hearing from people and then telling me exactly what's changed in their life. Some of them, the trajectory has completely propelled them. And I love that. Now, I know what it's like to live in a life where you're going through the motions, you're pushing through, you're maintaining, you're enduring. That is no way to live. The 4 steps make up the 4-step reset. Now I'm going to go through them. Let's start with leave. Leave is the part where we have to look at ourselves internally first and look at things like habits, thought patterns, emotional responses that have become our default, the things about us that we can change, that we're aware need to change. So it could be anything from, I used to wake up in the morning and straight off the bat, without anything happening, me having any interaction with anything or anyone, I'd think, oh, something bad's going to happen today. So for me, it was stopping at that point. There is no evidence that something bad is going to happen today. Let's move that to one side and let's go forward. Everyone is different, and you will have different things about the way that you think, feel, and respond in life that you know have been learned over a period of time or have transpired because of events you've been through, past experiences, past trauma. That's where we start. Now, at the same time, leave requires us to look outside of us, because we cannot heal in the same place that's hurt us. So for me, I had to walk away from a 6.5-year relationship because that was reinforcing low standards for myself. It was reinforcing me people pleasing, settling, repeatedly asking for what I wanted and never getting it. And I recognized, as hard as it was for me, that relationship had to go. Because if I was going to start working on myself and raising my standards and my bar, I couldn't have anything outside of me diluting that. Now, for everybody, that's going to be different. And it doesn't always mean completely removing something from your life. I had relationships, friendships in my life where it required just a bit of distance. Instead of taking that phone call from that friend every night that trauma dumps or is telling you everything that went wrong in their day and leaves very little room for you to be seen and heard, instead of taking that call every night and exhausting yourself further, perhaps taking it once a week, every couple of days, creating distance. It could be saying no sometimes when you want to say no instead of saying yes because you're worried about how the other person is going to react. It could be not forcing yourself into events or situations that you feel obligated to go to, but actually there's not one single part of you that wants to be there. It is going to be different for everybody. The telltale sign here is anything that leaves you feeling drained, exhausted, not good about yourself, maybe even hating yourself because you're doing something that you don't want to do. They're the areas to start. Leave anything inside of you in terms of what you can control, the way you think, the way you respond to things, the things you say yes to, the things you tolerate, the people you tolerate. Have a look at those. What can you remove and what can you distance yourself from? Which takes us nicely into step 2, listen. Because once we've created some space and we've removed the noise from the room in our heads and in our outer worlds, something truly magical happens. Now, for me in this space, not only did my true feelings arise to the surface, but what I wanted and what I needed and what I wanted my future to look like, because I had space to think and feel and see now. I wasn't being exhausted and pulled into other people's expectations, other people's needs, what the world required from me. I could sit and think about what I wanted to do without any external pressure. So for me at that time, I found my purpose, which is Shared Sanctuary Collective. And it never occurred to me that that was something I wanted to do. There was so much noise and chaos in my life. I didn't have the capacity to think about anything for me that would make me feel good. Listen will surprise you because you will have the time, space and energy to start aligning with yourself. And we remove the layers that life has put on us over the years. It could be past dreams and passions you had. It could be something completely new that sparks an interest in you. It could be a whole host of things. My point is, you've never been able to hear or feel it before, and now you can. Step number 3, lock in. This is where we really gain some power and some control and some advocacy and belief in ourselves. There is some work required here now, I'm not going to lie, because lock-in is all about stopping yourself when the old version of you is trying to pull you back. So I mentioned earlier, waking up in the morning and having that negative, oh, something bad's going to happen today, or here we go again today. What bad thing is going to come about? It's saying, no, Salima, that's what the old you would have done. We're going to be completely open today. We're going to expect the best. We're going to do our best. And we're going to see what comes. It's stopping yourself. When you're in the middle of doing something that is bringing you enjoyment and a friend rings you and needs you, and I'm not saying say no all the time, but what I'm saying is learn to put yourself first. It's stopping yourself in those moments and saying, actually, I helped that friend yesterday, so today I'm going to reclaim my time in the way that I need. Sorry, I'd love to help, I can't. If you're still struggling tomorrow, give us a call. Whatever that looks like for you, stop reacting and responding in the way that the old version of you would, and you start embodying putting yourself first. And the way that you do that in its simplest form is every choice or decision that you reach or that, comes in front of you, you stop, you pause, and you think, what do I need? What would be best for me in this? Again, this isn't about being, not showing care to other people. It's not about not being supportive. I'm a massive empath and I love helping people. It feeds my soul as well as obviously supporting them. But it's when we are off balance with what we're giving ourselves and others that the problem is created. Lock-in is all about consciously deciding what is right for you first in that moment and then for someone else. And then lead, which is really a step for you to claim for yourself. But lead is all about making decisions and choices from that place that you've locked in on. Making decisions about your future, what direction you want to go in, what you want to try, what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept, who we surround ourselves with, where we go, what we do. Lead from that new version of yourself. Now, I think the biggest thing that I've noticed and the biggest surprise that other people are noticing in trying the 4-step reset is that it's not complicated. It's uncomfortable at times, of course it is, because change is uncomfortable, but it's not complicated. And I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make, and I did for many years, is believing that because it's taken us years to be who we are today and create the life we've got, it's going to take us years and decades to change who we are and change our circumstances around us. That is so not true. It took me just under 6 months to completely change the way that I move in life, I respond, I think, and everything else around me, without exception, has changed. Now, if you've heard any part of this video and sat there and thought to yourself, oh yeah, that sounds like me, oh yeah, that drains me, or it started you thinking about the various things in your life that make you feel heavy and keep you stuck, then I want you to know that everything I've learned, I haven't kept to myself. I genuinely want anybody out there that wants to change their life to try the 4-step reset. Everything I have learned and applied in my own life is in this book. It takes you through it step by step, and it tells you how to apply it in your own particular life. Now, the biggest thing with the 4-step reset is not only is it a book that you can use realistically in your day-to-day life, it's not stuff that sounds good but actually doesn't create anything tangible in terms of change. But the other thing that I'm promising with this book, which you can't get from a lot of authors, is if at any point you need support or help in applying this or what it looks like in your life, or you've hit an obstacle, reach out to me. I stand behind every single page in this book, what it can do and the differences it can make on the other side, to the extent that I am ready, willing and available to speak to anybody that needs any help or support. Now, if you have found this video inspiring or hopeful in any way, please share it with somebody else that you know might be struggling in life. Like, subscribe so I can reach more people. And please stay tuned, because I'm going to be delving into leave, listen, lock in and lead over the next weeks and months in specific areas of people's lives that might land with you as well, that will help you to understand not only how you can use it, but give you a glimpse of what's possible. And I'm going to leave you with one thought today. Life does not have to stay this way. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon.